Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Jules on the Couch. I am so excited to be back filming. Here I am sitting down. This is me. This is real. Some sparkling water, per usual. Today I am here. We are chatting, we are talking because I have been being attacked, dragged through the mud, grabbed by the hair, pulled around the house, walking on glass by our dear friend, Satan, the devil. Fantastic, isn't it? And I feel like this is talked about, but I feel like when I talk about it, sometimes I hold back because I'm like, I don't want to sound like a weirdo. I don't want to sound like a crazy person. I don't want to scare people. I'm so sick and tired of that because guess what? I am going to scare you because it is scary and because it's not fun to experience. And I feel like a lot of people, like, they need to know this. They need to know this about becoming a Christian, or becoming somebody who believes in God, or becoming someone that's more spiritual. The reason why you need to know this is because I saw a TikTok. It was absolutely incredible, where this girl, she was talking about how you need to know the voice of your enemy, and you need to know your enemy because how are you going to protect yourself or fight against an enemy that you don't know? And I was like, ooh, that's good. She's talking about how you can discern the difference between the voice of God and the voice of the enemy. And in the video, she does such an amazing job telling us how you can decipher. Even at the end of the video, though, I thought, even though I feel like now I know, I still feel like I'm struggling to know. So that's what I wanted to talk about today because that has been weighing on me, and it's been happening just in my life on the day to day. It might be even happening as we speak right now, this very second. Okay, so in this video, she talks about the book of Genesis. Basically, in Genesis, God tells Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree in the middle of the garden. In the video, the devil tries to make what God told Adam and Eve not to do, not to eat from the tree in the middle of the garden. He said, do not eat from the tree in the middle of the garden. And if you do, you will know the difference between good and evil. And the devil twists God's words to make them sound persuasive, to make them sound good. Like, oh, if you eat from the tree, you're going to be like God, knowing the difference between good and evil. Like, don't you want that? When in reality, that is not what would be good for them. That is what God was telling them not to eat from the tree for, because then they will know the difference between good and evil. And then they're not going to be like these pure people anymore that don't know what sin is. Now they're going to know what sin is, what it looks like. They are going to sin to then know what sin is. Isn't that crazy? And in the Bible and in this video, the girl is saying the devil will take what God has said to you and flip it, basically, and flip it around. God said, no, don't apply for that job. Devil's going, no, you should apply for that job. You're going to make so much money. God knows that you have a bigger calling to your life. And then also, if God is trying to get you not to do something, for example, let's say you don't want to drink alcohol anymore, and you hear and you know that God doesn't want you to drink alcohol anymore because maybe you don't like the person that you are when you are drinking alcohol. And the devil's going, you don't have a problem. Did God really say not to drink alcohol? Or did he mean tone it down a bit? You don't have a problem. And trying to make it sound the opposite of what God is telling you, because he doesn't want you to. This is crazy. My audio. What is going on? Okay, I don't know if my audio is working or not. We'll see after this. But regardless, the devil does not want you to hear what God has to say. And he will twist and confuse you to try to confuse you, to try to confuse the blessing that God has called on your life. Hi, Blue. For example, I have had a dream when I asked God what What is my purpose? I had a dream where I saw my guitar, which I don't even play. I never played before, never. But this guitar, I never really play. I never really play it. At the time, I was literally watching my mom. She was sick on hospice. I asked God, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? I said, I need to know. Because at this time, too, I was so connected to God. I was spending so much time with him. I felt so connected that I was like, ooh, like he's going to tell me. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to hear him. I'm going to hear him because now I feel like I have this relationship with him now where I feel so connected. And so I asked him, and I had a dream that was like a dream I've never experienced in my life. And my sister literally told me, she goes, you were screaming in your sleep. What did you dream last night? You were like, ah. And I was like, what? And so in my dream, I saw this guitar. And in the dream, I'm laying in my bed, I sit up, and I hear this rumbling. I see the guitar shaking. And then there's this bright white light beaming out of this guitar. Beaming. It's sparkling, it's bright light shining, and it's shaking, and it's super loud, like shaking on the floor. Like the guitar was in a case, but the case popped open, and it's shaking on the floor, and it's like that rumbling sound. I ended up, I guess, screaming in my sleep, but in the dream, I was like, oh, like, okay, like, and when I woke up and I realized what I dreamed, I go, that was the most intense dream I've had. I felt like it was real. I felt like I was there. I felt like I was literally in my bed looking and seeing this guitar literally shake and gleam and shine in front of me. And it's crazy because for the longest time I wrote songs. I wrote songs. I just have a talent with writing, but I never really sang very much. I never played an instrument. If I sang, it was like silly and for fun and like whatever. I never really tried to like sing and record and like all this stuff and like really do something with my music. As an adult, I stopped writing songs. I never really tried. I never tried to learn an instrument actually, but I like never really got into it, never bought a guitar, never bought a piano. I never like did that stuff for myself. And so what ended up happening was I bought this guitar for a toxic, horrible person in my past. This guitar was very expensive. It was not cheap. I bought it for him. Things ended up not working out. I took the guitar with me. So I have this guitar. Why would I buy this expensive guitar for somebody? Out of the goodness of my heart, buy someone that I was newly, like in a newer relationship with, this really nice gift, and then they end up betraying me. I end up keeping this guitar, and I am now having a dream that I'm playing it, that I should be playing it, because clearly it's like, look at me, play me, you need to learn how to play me, blah, 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 blah. From that moment, I went, oh my God, am I supposed to sing? Am I supposed to like write music again? Am I supposed to like, I haven't wrote a song in years. Can I write songs again? It's been so long. Can I even sing? Even then, I was dabbling in like singing and writing songs, but I wasn't fully in it. And to be honest, a lot of the times that I did sing, I'm like, I suck. I prayed about it again. I said, God, what is my purpose? I said, and why do I feel so called to music? Like, I'm just doing this as a hobby and to have fun. You know, that's all I'm doing it for. And I'm like, it doesn't need to be this big thing and have all this pressure on me. But for some reason, I still felt all this pressure. So basically what ended up happening is I prayed and I asked God for another sign. Okay? I get another sign that I am supposed to sing. So in this dream now, I hear myself singing. And in this dream, I'm standing outside this beautiful scenery, and God is like standing on my side, and I'm just singing to like the clouds. And I sang, and I remember singing, and then it got to a part where I did this high note for a really long time, and I went, I was shocked by the way my own voice sounded. I was like, oh, like this sounds angelic. Where I got chills all over my body. I was like crying in the dream. I'm singing and I'm like, huh, like singing this super high, crazy note. It sounds absolutely beautiful coming through me. It literally doesn't even sound like me. It almost sounds like an angel. And I was like, my voice. Like, did God bless me with this angelic voice? Like, this is how I'm feeling in my dream. I wake up and I'm like, what the heck? Like, God, like, I don't sound like that. Hello? So I started getting into it. I feel so happy and I get lost in time when I am writing a song, when I am practicing on my guitar, when I am singing just out loud, making up stuff as I go, when I'm home alone. It's so fun. I literally get lost in it and I'm so happy and I have so much fun when I do it. And I'm like, and honestly, that's probably the main reason why I was being guided to it, was because I just have so much fun when I'm doing it. Even with things like filming a YouTube video, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. And there's those certain things that you guys have in your head where you're like, I don't know why, but I feel called to this. This makes me feel a certain way. I feel like I get lost in time when I am doing this thing. Why do I feel so called to this? And instead of the why, just trust the feeling. Trust the feeling. Choose to trust that feeling. Don't second guess it. Don't question it. Just go with it. And then if you keep having this like desire to go towards something and to do something from deep within, and you pray, God, should I do this? Is this my purpose? Or what is my purpose? Can you please reveal it to me? Because it's hard to know. It's so hard to know. It can be so hard to know. And for so long, I was so blinded when in my head, all I can hear is, you need to share your opinions, your thoughts, your this, your that. But we have this little voice over here. You're not gonna do anything. You suck. Blah, 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 blah. What is that, guys? Because that is not insecurity. It's not me. It's not my thoughts. If my video about negative thoughts are not yours, because they're not. This is literally the enemy. Because God doesn't want you to think negatively. You do not want to think about yourself negatively. You do not want to think negatively. What is making you think negatively? I have heard people say that they do not love themselves, and when I hear that, it breaks my literal heart, because that is the literal enemy telling you this. The enemy that is putting these words into your head that you are not good enough, that you should second guess the dream that God put in your head, the thought that God put in your head. You should second guess it. You should ask a zillion times what he means. Like, no. We need to trust more, and we also need to learn how to know the difference between the voice of God and the voice of the enemy. And it's hard, trust me, it's so hard. The other day, I was driving to my job, and in my head, I had this thought, and it said, you are going to make so much money. Don't you know this? And I was like, is that God? Like, what? Like, is that God? Like, is that God? Because, like, and I have that feeling, like, is it? But I'm like, no, it is. It is. Because why would the devil say that to me? Why would the devil say, you're going to make so much money? Don't you know who you are? Why would the devil say that to me? Wouldn't God say that to me? And I'm sitting there like, that's positive. That's a positive thing. So that must be God. And the more I thought about this, the more I realized that it was not. Number one, the key takeaway was the voice, not the tone. I hear it in my mind. It's not like I'm actually audibly hearing something. It's like a thought that comes into your mind, but you know it's not yours. That's the best way I can explain it. If a thought clearly went into your head, but you knew it wasn't yours, that's what it sounds like when it's God or the devil, unfortunately. But the difference is the devil sounds different. The devil talks different. God talks in a very calm, soft tone with words and thoughts that you would never think of. For example, the one I got before, rest, my child, and just keep doing what you're doing. I've heard that before. Rest, my child, and keep focusing. Keep focusing. Those are the words. Rest, my child, relax, it's going to be okay. Keep focusing. And at the time, I didn't have a job. At the time, I was trying to find a job and I was struggling pretty pretty hard. And I finally got a job and it was all good. But that's what God sounded like. I would never say to myself, my child, I would never say to myself, relax, just focus. That's not how I talk. And in a way that was just telling me what to do, giving me guidance, giving me reassurance, and calling me my child. I would never think that way. This other thought that I had that I knew was the devil was because it said, don't you know who you are? You're going to make so much money. What? Yeah, that sounds nice. It does sound nice, making a lot of money. But what was that statement filled with? It wasn't filled with love and guidance and softness and reassurance. It was literally ego, ego, ego. Don't you know who you are? Ego, 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 which is not good. You are going to make so much money. So just putting the importance only on money, 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 versus actually following your purpose, which in the end will make you a lot of money, more money than the thing that you thought you should do that isn't your purpose. It's going to make you way more money when it is your purpose, because God would do that for you, because that's why. I'm sitting there and all I heard was, don't you know who you are? You're going to make so much money. And basically, I'm driving into my job and I'm like, this job, it could be pretty tiring. It could be pretty draining. It could be pretty, can burn you out pretty quickly. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, I guess I could make a lot of money, here, but I'm going to have to work really, 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 really hard for a little reward in the beginning, at least. I'm going to have to really put in the work, and I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to work really hard and get there and then be making a lot of money 100%. So to me, that was just okay, yeah, I can do that. And I'm just thinking in my head, at first I'm thinking it's God. And so I get a little bit more fire under me, and at work I'm trying harder. I'm getting more results, but at the same time I'm still this isn't fulfilling. This job is a job to make money, but it's not fulfilling to me. It's not something that I see myself doing for the rest of my entire life. What's going to be fulfilling to me is my purpose. And sorry if you can hear people talking, but what's going to give me fulfillment in the long run, and what's going to give me real actual financial freedom and abundance, is my purpose, is following my purpose. And so that voice, it wasn't even until yesterday that I was that was the devil's voice. You know what's really crazy? So after I talked about the video in the beginning, the TikTok that I saw that made me think of all of this, what's so crazy is I saw that and that got me thinking all these things. But still, from that video and still from thinking about it, I still thought until yesterday that was God talking to me. And yesterday, what happened was I had like 5 books laying on my bed because I all of a sudden got an itch to read. I have like 5 books, one of the books being the Bible. And I'm like, I don't really want to read the Bible. Like, it's heavy. I don't want to read that right now. Like, it's, whenever I read it now, I feel like it's always about death and starvation and all these like sad, horrible things. And like, I don't want to read that right now before bed. I want to read something a little different. But then something just told me, no, pick it up, open it up. So I pick it up, I open it up to the book of Jonah. What? Like, so random. Like, the guy that lives in the whale for 3 days and 3 nights? Like, the guy that gets swallowed up by the big fish, by the whale? Like, that's what, I don't know, I was just shocked. Like, Jonah. Like, out of all books, I was not expecting Jonah. And also, I haven't read Jonah since maybe I was 12. Like, literally 12 years old. Like, when I was in, like, VBS. That's what was the last time that I read it. So I'm like, okay, like, let me read this as an adult. With this mature mind, like, I know way more now, so I'm reading it. And I know how, when you're young, it's harder to decipher all the metaphors and the way that God speaks. It's hard to know the meaning behind how he speaks, because he speaks in such an artistic, creative way that you have to think about things from all these different angles to know what the true meaning is behind the story. And I'm actually going to read it again tonight because I feel like I might even get more out of it. I know actually I'll get more out of it. But anyways, I flipped to Jonah. I'm like, okay, this is very random, but I landed here. I'm going to read it. And I read it. And in this book, in the beginning of the story, so really quickly, I've been thinking a lot about what the devil's been saying. I've been thinking about God's voice. I've been thinking about all of that. And this entire story is about listening to God's voice. And that is what shook me to my core. And I'm like, God, you really wanted me to read this. You know what? Let me just get my Bible because this is really frustrating. Hold on. God told Jonah to go to the great city of Nineveh. I'm saying that so wrong. And preach against it because its wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed to a different city. So he's not going to the city that God told him to go to. Keep in mind. Since Jonah was fleeing away and not going to the city that God told him to go to, the Lord sent a great wind on the sea. Such a violent storm arose that the ship threatened to break up. All the sailors were afraid, and each cried out to his own God, and they threw the cargo into the sea to lighten the ship. But Jonah had gone below deck, where he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. The captain went to him and said, "How can you sleep? Get up and call on your God. Maybe he will take notice of us, so that we will not perish." Then the sailors said to each other, "Come, let us cast lots to find out who is responsible for this calamity." And then Jonah, he said, "I am a Hebrew, and I worship the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." This terrified all the sailors because they asked, "What have you done?" They knew he was running away from the Lord because he had already told them so. So basically what happened is then Jonah tells them, "You have to throw me into the sea for this storm to stop," basically. So they did that. And when they did that, Jonah was thrown into the sea. Now the Lord provided, keyword, provided, a huge fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. He provided this fish because if Jonah did not get swallowed up into this fish, he would have died. In the fish, Jonah says a prayer to the Lord. It's a long prayer, but quickly, basically, he says like, when my life is ebbing away, I remembered you, Lord, and my prayer rose to you, to your holy temple. Like those who cling to to worthless idols, turn away from God's love for them. But I, with shouts of grateful praise, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed, I will make good. I will say salvation comes from the Lord. Okay, and then the Lord commanded the fish to vomit Jonah onto dry land, which that was kind of funny. I just imagined the fish going bleh onto dry land. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah a second time, go to the great city and proclaim to it the message I give you. Okay, so Jonah obeyed. He ended up going to the city, and when he was there, he said to them, by the decree of the king and his nobles, do not let people or animals, herds or flocks taste anything. Do not let them eat or drink, but let people and animals be covered with sackcloth. Let everyone call urgently on God. Let them give up their evil ways and their violence. Who knows? God may yell, relent, and with compassion turn from his fierce anger so that we will not perish. So when God saw what they did and how they turned from their evil ways, he relented and did not bring on them the destruction he had threatened in the beginning. But to Jonah this seemed very wrong, and he became angry. He said, isn't this what I said, Lord, when I was still at home? That is what I tried to forestall by fleeing to Tarshish. I knew that you are a gracious and compassionate God, slow to anger and abounding in love. O God, who relents from sending calamity. Now, Lord, take away my life, for it is better for me to die than to live. But then the Lord replied to him, is it right for you to be angry? Jonah eventually got out. He sat down by himself in the city, away, shelter. He was there he made himself a shelter. He sat somewhere in the city. God provided a leafy plant that would cover Jonah's head to keep him safe from the sun. Then on the second night, he sent a worm. The worm bit through the plant, which then exposed Jonah's head to the sun. Jonah was completely dehydrated, and he wanted to die because he was faint, and he said, it would be better for me to die than to live. And God said to Jonah, is it right for you to be angry about the plant? And he said, it is, and I am so angry I wish I were dead. But the Lord said, you have been concerned about this plant, though you did not tend to it or make it grow. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. And should I not have concern for the great city, in which there are more than 120,000 people who could not tell their right hand from their left? So what is that saying right here? But you have been concerned about this plant. God was concerned about this city, though you did not tend to it or make it grow. So he wanted to tend to it, and he wanted to make it grow, the city. But he couldn't just go do that. He needed Jonah to go do it. He was working through Jonah. It sprang up overnight and died overnight. This city can die overnight, or it can be changed around in one night. They will turn from their evil ways, and they will not perish. And should I not have concern for the great city? So then now he's talking about the great city. But in this we learn, and I'm going to wrap it up really quickly, we learn that we need to listen to God, because if Jonah listened to what God said and went to the city the first time, he would have never been swallowed up by the fish. He would have never jumped into the water. There would have never been a storm. God wouldn't have been angry. He just would have went there and turned it around. But instead, he didn't listen to what God said. So what did God do? God sent a storm to make him turn around and go to this city. But not make him, because in the end, Jonah did pray out and he went. So he agreed to. My mic messed up. Everything messed up. My phone died. My mic kept messing up. I kept forgetting what I wanted to say. And then my ring light literally broke. So the part that holds my phone broke. So I'm not going to be able to hold it and have it filming. So this is my arm. Oh, my arm hurts. Unfortunately, it has to end here. This message really didn't want to get out, but it is going to get out anyways, and I don't care. I'm going to upload this anyways because this is so clear. The devil is trying to get me to not upload this, but I'm going to. So, yeah. Anyways, love you guys so much, and au revoir.